Hello, my name is Julio Perez, and I want to start with the research processes that I learned throughout this class. Okay, so what I think was very important this year that I learned is how to know which sources to use because we're exposed to every type of source out there in the web, and I felt like in this class doing the analyze worksheet, the craft worksheets, and also the design and test worksheet, like it made me realize that I need to, before using a source, to make sure it's credible, that actually someone who published it made their research. In that way I can include it into my research and actually know what I'm talking about and know that it is true, because it's easy to get caught up in false information, and that would just make my research like it would make my research bad, and it will have no credibility behind it. What I also liked a lot about the way that we did our research and the process of research in this class is that we were not rushed into the process. We were given a good amount of time in order to make sure that our research was credible. And because sometimes, like in high school, I faced a lot of times when the teacher was just trying to make us write as soon as possible, and sometimes I would start like writing about a topic, but I wouldn't really understand my secondary sources, or I wouldn't even finish reading the whole articles because I was just trying to do the research and get a good, like, not really get a good grade, but pass the course, and just for the teacher to stop bothering me. So that's like, I really liked how you didn't make us rush into the paper, but you made us actually think what we were doing. You gave us enough time to actually come up with multiple sources. You encouraged us to come up with six, and at the end, I had four, but I make sure that all the four sources were credible. And I also feel like it was actually in this course I learned a lot, because before, like, we would just get the information right off the article, and on this one, like, we actually had a guide to know, like, does the information, like, for example, here, does the information relate to your topic or answer your question? Like, those type of questions may seem obvious, but it's what we really need, because not always, we're not experts in the field, and sometimes we may forget something, and like this just makes us know that we, like, if the paper is like on the right track to help us. So another thing that I really liked about the research process in this class is how, once we found our source, how we were supposed to use this worksheet in order to organize data from the source. Like, for example, here, this one's from my primary source, and here I basically summarized what the video was about, and I feel it was very helpful when I was writing the actual paper, because I didn't have to actually look at the video. Like, I did look at it, but I didn't have to put a lot of time into it because I had already summarized all the information in it. So, like, I just went back in order to add like a direct quote, and not really like, oh, let me see what's the video about. And I feel like in high school, like, I would just look back and not really have, I will have information all over the place. And that's why, like, I feel like many people are scared of research papers, because like they think it's like, oh, I have to write 6 pages, but they don't really know what, like, it's not that hard once you get the right information. It's just mainly putting all your sources together. And I feel like this worksheet really helped me, because like I had, before even starting writing the research paper, I already, like, as you said, I already had all the information. I just needed to put it together. I also feel like this worksheet like helped me a lot because sometimes the students just want, like we just want to pick whichever source in order to just do the assignment. And I feel like these worksheets actually made me think and comprehend all the information that I was using. And like these questions like actually made me read everything before actually being able to come up with a response. And I feel like that made me learn how to actually do research because the hard like I feel the hardest part of a research paper is coming up with the information, not really putting it together. And like if you struggle at first and work hard at the beginning, you won't have trouble like with the rest of the paper since you already have all the information. So moving on, I really also like the critique and research question, like this worksheet because it made me like analyze my sources. Like one, like for example, when like if in high school you would have told me like what's wrong with your sources, like I would be like nothing, like they're good in order to make the teacher think I picked the best source out there. But like in this one, I think it was like this really made me look at my source and you know criticize it, and it was great because like in order for you to have a good research paper, like if there was someone to analyze and read your paper and be like no, like you're wrong in here, and you'll be like if you haven't done your research before, you'll be surprised, and mm, you wouldn't have any backup argument against that. And in here I feel like I already going into a research paper, I already know what was weak with my sources, and I could look for information that will make that point look better. Because like maybe the author didn't really make a lot of research on that area, but another one might have done, and that just makes my research paper stronger. And I feel like in high school, I like before coming into this class, I've never actually had the tools to actually do a good research paper. Like it was just like, as I said before, like I was scared to write a lot because it was just coming up with ideas like right off reading the sources. Like it wasn't like here where I had it organized into multiple worksheets that like help me know if my information was good. And it was like I would find out if my information was good when the teacher was actually grading my paper. And I feel like in your class I was able to know that my information was good even before writing the paper. Okay, so now I want to move on to question number 4, which is like writing with a purpose. So I remember at the beginning of the class I was struggling to pick a topic because like I just didn't know what to start writing about. And I found out that it's easier to write something about what you're passionate for than writing something like, for example, like I've seen that many people tend to choose topics like gun control, abortion, which are like there's tons of research papers about them. And like I feel like many people will find fake information on that one and those ones because they actually they just choose it because it's a hot topic that many people that there's a lot of information on. And like you may not really and I feel like in those topics like people just talk out of emotions and not really about research. And like for my topic I choose like grading methods in school. Like I feel like this is something that affects all of the students because at some point like you may have not understood a teacher by the way they taught you, and you felt like there was nothing to help you. And I feel like that's something I actually encountered in high school, like my English not being my first language, and then teachers having their own different ways. Like it was just very difficult for me to do what they expected, and like many of them didn't would have like inconsistencies on what they expected, and I feel that was really bad. So that like it was something that I have faced before, so I could talk out of experience of having experienced it, and I feel that that also helped me come up with a solution, which was my project as well, for like a mastery level teacher handbook for like teachers to follow in certain lessons in order for them to be able to effectively communicate to students what they're expecting of you, and also for them to be a consistent grading method among all teachers. I feel like the purpose also helped me, like writing with a purpose helped me actually come up with questions, like the research questions, because like since I knew like what I wanted to communicate to the audience, like I was able to guide my paper through the questions, and I feel like that gave me like the advantage, like it gave me control over my paper because I knew exactly what I wanted to communicate, and that's also like the purpose. Like I know that I wanted for students to, like I wanted to the end for the grading method, for there to be a change in the grading method, and that's why I came up with a solution that was like demonstrated by my research paper for like what we need. This worksheet also helped a lot with the purpose because like we would also show the purpose of the secondary sources. Like I would try and find sources that really helped me like find like they agreed with me, but also some like one that didn't really like agree with me. In that way I can make my point look good compared to others, because like I can write like a great paper about what's really great about my paper, about my points, but it will always look better when you're comparing it with the other side, because they also have their opinion and like everybody disagrees, but like by pointing them out and showing how your side is better helps you like get your point straight like through the audience. And like by looking at the purpose I was able to like I tried, like I wrote about student mastery, like for there to be a change in the GPA, like the grading method for GPA to not exist anymore, and there be like student mastery. And I felt like in the purpose, like I could see your class being a student mastery level, because like you never push like due dates on us. You just wanted us to do the stuff like at our own pace, but like also being like wanting us to do it, not like just do it whenever you want. And I feel like in my that's the point like that I try to give with my research, because every student learns at a different pace, and and you will make sure that we actually knew our stuff by using these worksheets. Like you knew that we weren't just BSing it, like we actually mastered like our sources before putting them into play in the research paper. Like these questions, like if you're able to answer these questions, you know what you're talking about. You actually read your paper, and like I feel like many teachers don't effectively do that, but you did, because like I was able to actually answer these questions for all of my sources, and like I wasn't forced and rushed into do it at like as like I was trying to keep up with the class, and like I actually kept up, but like I know that some people may have fallen behind, and we were there to help us like to help each other out throughout the way. Okay, so I in my project I feel like I fitted genre to my audience and my purpose by making a like a hand, sorry, wrong wrong one, Okay, so I did a student mastery. Like this is for the teacher. There's a teacher handbook. Like it asks like it asks if the student followed the instructions that were expected, and then it gave the teacher a grading, like a grading chart. And then I also did a student mastery, and this is for the student. This is like the work, like the chapter, but it also, like, I tried to do it in a way that it'll make students think and not really just get the answers from what happened, but I wanted them to think what could have happened. And I feel like I didn't want to include like how much each question was worth on the student handbook, because like I feel like when I'm doing tests and I know like how much each question is worth, like I just panic. Like I start calculating like what what am I gonna get? Like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this one wrong for sure, so that's 2 points off and whatever. And I feel like here, like sometimes questions may vary on the scoring, but the student will always try his best on this one, and that's what I expect, because like many times students are just they just want to pass and they're scared that they're not going to. And now I want to move on to learning with your peers. So during this semester, I really enjoyed working with my peers, because I feel like this was such a different course compared to other English classes that I've had. Like usually it's just be quiet and sit in your own desk and just listen to the teacher and do your work. But I feel in this one, like we got to we were divided in groups since the beginning, and I didn't know anyone in my group before coming to class, and like they would be the people that you would ask for like guidance. Like at the beginning of the semester, I remember like the crap worksheet and everything was just so new to me that I didn't know what to do, right? Because I'm not used to actually being being asked since the beginning, like do all these worksheets about your research. And I feel like they helped like transition into knowing what was expected, because they were also facing the problem, and they also overcame that new method of being tested, right? Also working with my peers this semester really helped me, because I usually, when I turn in like research papers or rough drafts or whatever, I feel like the only feedback I received that it's important, well, in high school it was the teachers, because teachers are always right. That's like the common idea in high schools. And like if the teacher didn't want to validate your point, like you wouldn't get it right. And then I feel like here in college you gave us such a different way to see it, right? Because you told us like first like also this has to do with the peer feedback, right? And I feel like first you told us like find out what's wrong about your paper and ask people to help you with it. And I felt like that was so different, because first I had to admit that I didn't really do a good job in some areas of my paper. And like we, like a student in high school, like I just got out of high school, that's why I mention it a lot. Like a student in high school wouldn't really admit that they did something wrong. Like the paper is perfect, right? Because that's what teachers expect. And I feel like you didn't like you're like know what's up, because there's no perfect paper, and you made us like admit and be conscious about what our mistakes were during the paper, and then have like another totally creative mind, like analyze and come up with a way to fix my paper. And I felt like that was great. And during high school, like I feel like I would have never, like when I would get feedback from someone else that was my age, I either would feel like they are not getting their point right, like I was right, and by just point, and they will like analyze something that I feel like I did a good job on, good job in, and I didn't need help in that area. So it was pretty great, like actually getting helps in the areas, because I had feedback from three people actually, and like they all pointed like, I was like, shit, those are really good ideas, I didn't think of that. And they gave me options to how I could I could do better in my, let's see, let me try and put the comments. And then also, having you like reply to an area that I didn't feel like, I felt like I didn't do a good job in, was great. It just got deleted, your comment. But like in that way, I knew I was doing a good job based on what my peers were saying, and because I was following all the directions that you were giving, like doing the worksheets and everything throughout the semester. And then just having your feedback like made me clarify, like, oh yeah, I just need to do that, and then like I think I'm good. That's the last part. And like usually, like before in other classes, I would like the teacher's feedback was the first thing and the most important thing. Like, you need to make her happy. She's the one who's gonna fail you or give you the A. But I feel like this was like an I really don't, like, I'm going into this, I don't think, like, I have no clue what you're gonna think of my whole paper. But I feel like whatever grade I get, like, I did a good job, because this is a semester's worth of work, and it's been checked not only by my peers, but also, like, well, actually just like by my peers, not really like you've seen my like the work, but I like it feels okay. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you haven't criticized, like, I feel like I really like how you don't criticize our work, but you always try and make us, like, you do criticize our work, but not in a bad way. You try and make us find creative ways to make it better by like working with our peers, for example. Like, I also liked a lot when we were still in the old classroom, you made us like come bring all of our craft sheets class, and then you paired us with someone that wasn't in our group, and then have them grade our craft sheets, all of them, and then like we would get points if we met the criteria, and then like making the competition, the group that gets the most points gets extra points and all of that. Like, it was great because it had like our team. We wanted to do good as a team, so we made sure that our peers were doing also their work, and we would help them out if they needed help in order for the common good of the team, which was great because I feel like this was such a different class that it exposed me to like very different ways to see stuff. Like, I would like in high school, I don't want to say I was smarter than everybody, not than everybody, but that some people, and like I wouldn't consider any of their feedback. But here, like, this class really made me see how everyone has like a good point, because like first I don't know like how smart is everyone else, but because I see like the uniqueness that the others that other people will see, like stuff that I like somebody might see something or think of an idea that I didn't have a clue, like it never occurred to me. And like I feel like just the end, like it was like I like this class so much because it's like the perfect scenario, like the one I described, like my solution to my paper. Well, it is not exactly the same. Like, you tell us you need to do, like, when the semester started, you need to get this amount of points in order to get the A, but you didn't really push due dates on us. Like, you did, but you didn't. Like, we would still get credit in a good way. and you made sure that we were getting our stuff, not like you didn't rush us through stuff. And I feel like it's just the perfect example of student mastery because you didn't make us like look at something and be like, is this yes or no? You made us think, like think outside the box and really master stuff, just like the perfect scenario, like that I was trying to push in my research paper, and hopefully I did. And you just try like make us master stuff at the end of the day through a research paper and with the solution, like with the project. Like when you first told us like, well, you need to do a project, like I was like, oh my god, like damn, like I really need to think because I've never been exposed to that this type of thinking. Like you also need to find a way. Like you told us, hey, do your research paper, and then find a way to communicate your research paper to the people around you. That was like really, like I remember like the first poster I did, like I never really, like I didn't really put much time into it, and I feel like you could tell. And but with the second one I did with the like the mastery level handbook, like I was able to actually show teachers what they could do in order for to make their students, like to make their lessons understandable to students in a way that they can master it. And I just really enjoyed your class this year. Like it exposed me to many points of view and ways of seeing stuff differently. So I thank you.